I am so grateful and so lucky to have received the RIBA Rent Insurance Association Scholarship in 2021, and I thought it would be helpful to show you my presentation boards and just how I've created them. I create all of my presentation boards in InDesign, and I'm going for an A3 size because that's the size that they've requested, and my maximum are 5 pages. And I'm gonna change the margins to be a little bit bigger because I feel like it adds to the aesthetic that I like with presentation boards. Once I have all my boards together, the easiest way I find to create board for competition or scholarship applications or anything like that is to go over your entire portfolio and just see the best drawings or images you created for the project and just drag and drop. Even before you have an idea of the layout, just drag and drop images that you think you've done them to a really good standard and also tell a story of your project. This is my campus project from my master's, and I'm really happy with how it came out. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to make any content on it for YouTube, so if you are interested in how I created these renders or the plan sections or any of the drawings you see, do let me know. Once I've dragged and dropped all of my files and images, it's now time to gather some inspiration for my boards. Reference searching and brainstorming ideas is one of the most crucial parts of any design, and one tool that can improve this process is Milanote. Before Milanote, I used to organize my images in folders and write notes on my sketchbook, but this tool has completely transformed my workflow into a seamless and enjoyable process. It's an entirely different game when you can see all of your images and files organized in the same place. You know when you get into a creative studio and they have things for a project stuck up on a wall, sketches, reference images, ideas, notes, and diagrams? Well, Milanote is just like that, but it's entirely online and the walls are, well, infinite. Milanote is a place to collect and organize all of your thoughts and ideas, put together checklists of everything that needs to be done, visualize and gather inspiration, and set a visual direction for a project. Milanote gives you a bird's eye view of everything that's going on, and when you're ready to share your work, you can invite your colleagues and clients, gather important feedback, and collaborate with them in real time. Starting a project is super easy with over 100 built-in templates available for designers, photographers, filmmakers, and more. I'm currently using Milanote to have a mood board with all of the reference images for any creative project. So whenever I go to a website like ArcDaily, Pinterest, or President Metals to search for my reference project, I can just copy an image and paste it into my mood board. There's a specific Chrome extension to do this from the Chrome extension website. I love that I can scribble, write, create lines, add caption to my images, and also paste them very freely. I can extract color palettes from existing images or highlight things that I want to remember for the design process. These are the boards that I created for this project, where I have the main elements that I want to include in my boards, things that I need to consider, and also an inspiration board. I plan to use Milanote to track a whole design project and share it with my colleagues or clients. I'm also planning on using it for brainstorming video ideas and keep it up to date with my task. Milanote is also a great tool if you want to organize your uni life with to-do lists and boards for each course. I wish I had it when I was in uni. Finally, Milanote is available for free with no time limit. Sign up using the link in the description and start your next creative project. So most of the boards that I've seen and added to Milanote, they had these really big images on half of the page. So I'm going to start with that. And I know that I wanted to add like a really cool vintage style site plan, which I didn't have for the project. I had one that was quite minimal, and that's also like a vibe, but I wanted to do a different site plan and maybe a diagram explaining the context a little bit, which is something that I also didn't have. I'm adding this key, which is the artifact, big part of the concept. And when it comes to presentation boards, I really like to keep it simple. So I do often copy the same layout onto different pages because especially if you're viewing them digitally, it just makes it clear and put together when you're just scrolling and all of the images are aligned in the same place. I don't know if that's just me, I just really love that. I'm adding the plans. Also, you don't need to add all of your plans, especially if you have a lot of them. I usually do one in context and another one without, depending on the size of the boards that I have. And then on this page here, I really wanted this 3D section to be a key image in the board, so it's right in the center. And then I'm adding images that I think I'm going to talk about in the 3D section. I'm gonna add those to the top. I saw in most of the presentation boards they also add model images, so I'm gonna add those. Those are like 3D digital 3D models. So they're not real physical models, but they still communicate what I want them to. With InDesign, it's so easy to just crop and paste images, make them smaller. I've done a whole bunch of tutorials on InDesign on my channel, so I'll have those linked in the cards or in a playlist right now, so that if you do want to see tips and tricks with InDesign, you can watch those. So because I've added that 3D section in the middle of the page and it adds like this horizontal line, I wanted to duplicate that on another page. And I went back to my portfolio and I saw that I've done this minimal section, so I thought I would use that. And I'm copying and pasting the exact same images onto that just to have the same sizes, so then I can paste my images. And I'm not worried too much about the spacing between the images just yet. This is just now trying to figure out which images I'm gonna use and which layout. And sometimes you will have images and drawings that you just can't use. Even these boards, I would have liked a little bit more empty space. And I know that it's not easy to not include something that you've worked on, but if it doesn't serve the boards or the story, just don't add it. You'll see me pasting into the boxes instead of adjusting the images and cropping them. I just find it easier that way. I wanted to add this detail, but the text kind of made it look a little bit messy. So I went back to AutoCAD, deleted all of the text and exported it again, and I think this is a bit cleaner. Next to it, I'm going to create one of those elevation illustrations. And one thing that I've noticed also in presentation boards is that they use some of the same images, but then they zoom it out and crop it to focus on a different area. So I'm gonna do that with these 3 images and place them at the bottom here to highlight that I've looked into the furniture and the details and the materials. So now it's time to add text, and I always go for Times New Roman, and I think specifically for this project it works really well because it's more of an archive and Times New Roman has that kind of vibe. But I do think that you should work with text that fit your personal style and also the project, and always uncheck hyphenate because it just makes it so unprofessional when there are hyphens in your text. Gonna add a cool title and center everything together. I think you should really pay attention to the titles of your project, the text. Of course, it goes without saying that you shouldn't have any spelling or grammar mistakes, but really try and tell the story of the project because you only have 5 boards and only a few paragraphs to explain everything. And I like the text to be justified, and for it to fit the boxes perfectly, usually change the spacing or maybe add a few words or delete a few words for it to fit perfectly. So now I can go back and start working on the spacing. I've also added the site plan and this diagram. Fortunately, I didn't record these, so if you do want to see them, let me know and I'll create them again. So a cool trick in InDesign is to go here in the spacing, and then you could set a dimension that you want and then just adjust the spacing like that. So I don't always use grids in InDesign just because I feel they can be quite limiting. As long as the spaces between the images are around the same number, then it should still look consistent. And when it comes to presentation boards and like for competition or scholarship, even portfolios, my plans, my sections are never to scale as long as they're big enough and you can see the detail. Obviously, it would be better if they are to scale, but there's just no point in these because they're going to be printed on an A3. It would just be too small. Then I can go back and start adding the text and the details, and always make sure when you do have sections is to add a diagram showing where the cut is in your plan. Even if it's really small diagrammatic plan, it really helps the viewer kind of understand where the section is. And for exporting, I'm going into File, export it into PDF, choose the high quality setting, and that's pretty much it. These are the final boards that I've created. I'm really happy with how they came out. I do really love these warm vintage or like old style of drawings and contrasted with the green and the blue and the other images, I feel like is quite interesting. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Do check Milanote. I'll have all of the information in the description box. Don't forget to check out my Patreon because I will be uploading the full tutorials for most of my videos on there. And you can also check out my Fiverr page if you need any help with your portfolio or creating diagrams or renders. And you can also check out my super peer. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'm Rasha Shururo and I will see you next time.